Thank you very much, Sam. And Des, Young and Beautiful, 2-0 up in the moment, halfway down the runway, but can they strike a pose at the end for map 4? We're going to get ahead of ourselves, though. Let's stick with map 3. Hanamura comes up next. What do we expect to see coming out on this third map?
Hopefully a stronger performance out of Mosaic. Last two maps, a little uninspiring. Moments of brilliance, I suppose you could say, the occasional fight going their way. Something's in there, and it's last week I had this kind of thought to myself as well. I didn't really say it on cast, but for Fisher, for example, a little bit overshadowed by Darnier. It's feeling very much so the same again today against Dempsey. Not quite sure what's fully clicking for them. I don't know if the 1 DPS is just not really working out for them. But even when they switched to the double DPS and ran the 2-2-2, even that didn't work. So something somewhere is not fully clicking. And like Jaws and Sam just said, possibly it might be overcoached. Possibly it might just be that they need a bit more time. Whatever it is, they're losing crucial games that they need to be winning.
They got 2 more maps to come back, force out a tiebreaker, and potentially end up still taking this series. So it's not all over for Mosaic eSports yet. Got plenty of opportunity to get back into this game. Now, Assault, they said it's one of their stronger archetypes. They're very confident on it at the moment. So hopefully that rings true and they can show up in the latter half of this series. Because Young and Beautiful so far, they've just been dominating the field. It's not even been close in some of these maps as well.
Yeah, but the downfall of a team like Mosaic, though, there also comes the rise of another. And you summarized it beautifully earlier on. For Young and Beautiful, they are halfway down the runway. They've just got to hold out for a little bit longer and just prove to us that they aren't a team to be kind of written off at the bottom of the table, that they can take games from these big teams. Well, the real question then comes, how long can you consider Mosaic a big team for if they're losing so many games in a row? Last week was very close. You can't write them off yet. But if they lose today, if this goes 3-0, 4-0, well, 3-1, 4-0, I should say, then you've got to start asking questions.
We'll save the questions now. We'll let the analysts worry about that, Des. We don't have to do that again today. So we'll let Jaws and Legday and Sam figure that one out. Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow we've got a double stack day of that one. But let's focus on Group B for today.
Our questions turn into more of a heated debate, should we say?
No, we say, we are joking about the boxing gloves. We're not joking about them. We have them under the desk. They'll probably come out later on in the season. But let's focus on the match for now. So Young and Beautiful, they're running with that 2-2-2 composition. Ding actually changing off for the first time onto that Moira to help assist the team. And Mosaic, they're also going to run a 2-2-2 of their own.
Like the Moira, purely because of this gate that you have to push your way through. It's very, very good for keeping all your guys healed up. What they're doing here is really nice as well. Using Gustav to get themselves off to the side and around the back, keeping Moira just constantly with the spray to make sure they get through relatively unharmed.
Well, they're doing the ropey dope, the offensive-defensive switch, trying to gain the positional advantage that comes with being the defensive team and turn it on Mosaic's head as they come back into the point, already forcing them off. Christopher going low, has to jump out immediately to get some sustain. As Spox is just clearing the 6, making sure that no one's coming out. They need to start contesting this point, though. They've already got over 50% covered. Here comes the dive. Fisher takes out Gustav, and you can see the tank line getting up front and personal. Ben Best, Emil, they're all going to get the kills at the moment. Mosaic, they let them get 2 ticks. They let them get 1 tick, sorry, but they won't finish it off just yet.
So there was really, really nice positioning by both Fisher and Emil there. They came over the top here of this bridge that you see them on now, and above them through the cherry blossom tree, so they couldn't see what was coming at them directly until it was already a bit too late. As they started pushing onto the point, thinking, well, when's the contest going to come through? Suddenly Fisher was behind them, dashing through the supports, cut down Gustav nice and easy, which immediately denied them the retreat option. So in a great way, he's got his ultimate, and here it comes.
Yeah, Fisher going to dive in, immediately pinned into the corner, will still deal the damage, but not actually get the kills. It's Emil and Valentine who are going to do that for them, and Mosaic are pushing Young and Beautiful so far back. Dempsey actually gets a return kill, Spoxes as well. This is the counter-attack from Young and Beautiful as they enter into the crossroad and force Mosaic out of every exit imaginable.
Young and Beautiful have got to be quick, though, because there's 5 ults on the other side. They might just completely sacrifice this, so they've got the room to contest. They've got 5 ultimates to push in this point. Here comes the Winston.
Right, Winston, nano boosted, dives straight in to keep it alive, but Dempsey, he finds Denia. He got the ultimate out there. That's all that matters for the fight at the moment. Is Christopher going to get whittled down? Ben Best with that flame strike onto Emil. The fight keeps on going. They drop the Earth Shatter. Didn't really find anyone. Fisher's going to concede. They know it's over because Valentine, he's the last man standing, and he will fall down.
In what world where you have 5 ultimates available to you, the only one that wasn't available was the Genji ultimate, do you still manage to lose that to 1 ultimate? They bought out Ben Best's ult. They might be able to completely roll this over to a second.
Yeah, they've gone on. They're going to play with the momentum. They're going to keep it all rolling. Pulse bomb into the middle. Sound barrier to cancel that out altogether. Here comes a blade from Spoxes, but Fisher will cut him down. Self-destruct. Clears out the point, but the fight keeps on going. Dempsey onto Kodak. Fisher onto Spoxes. Where are the kills at the moment? Is Fisher going to have to dodge out of this coalescence? But Ben Best, he's managed to get onto the back line. The tank is taking out the supports. Not the one you'd expect from a Reinhardt as Ding finally finishes off Fisher. Young and Beautiful, they're not losing enough members of the team. This could be a complete rolling stomp coming out for Young and Beautiful.
Whether a Mosaic are completely on tilt or whether it's just that Ding is so sublime on this Moira, they have capped the point with 5 minutes and 5 seconds left in the time bank. What a great rollout onto the second point. I don't know whether the right idea there was to burn 3 ultimates trying to contest that first point. I'd rather just go right, concede, play safe, but they did commit to it, and rightly so. I did say, in what world with 5 ultimates are you not able to take that first point back? Apparently in this one, because they also lost the second, Mosaic are in one rough spot.
I think that's also the first time we've seen that momentum play from A to B carry forth and get it effectively on the first push so far this season of Contenders Europe. So it's beautiful play by Young and Beautiful to pull that off. And I agree with you there, Des. I think Mosaic putting that many ultimates into a defense of that point A was a bit of a panicky move, and it did cost them when it come round to actually stopping the push from Young and Beautiful.
The one thing that's kind of concerning me with Mosaic, and I've been watching more because I'm saying a lot of stuff like, oh, Mosaic are looking weak or this isn't working out for them. You actually have to look into the specifics as to why it's not working. And one thing that kind of struck me last round, Emil's presence. Last week, really impactful. This week, where is he? We're seeing Christopher in the front line of the Winston quite a lot, but I barely saw anything from Emil last round. And part of that you've got to pin down to the pressure that is coming out of Young and Beautiful's tank line. Ben Best is by far and away standing up today and saying, you know, Danny isn't the only prodigy on this team. I am here to play. And his Reinhardt in that last round was brilliant as well.
Yeah, well, they're going to be playing around that choke at the moment, I believe. With Spoxes on the Junkrat, they're going to try and break down this tank line the Mosaic is clearly going to throw at them. I don't think they're going to run for the triple tank. They're going to stick with the 2-2-2. It's been working out better for them on the previous maps. Denny is probably going to go over to that Lucio in a second to get them that speed boost, get them into the point, start allowing them to cause some fun. Oh, beg my pardon. I like that trap from Spoxes at the moment. Right on the top, he's expecting to catch Fisher on that Genji if he goes for a jump over the walls. Ben Best finds an odd perch to sit on.
He's done that last time around. You could almost say here they're trying to go fishing by trying to catch the Genji out as he comes piling up the top. Also, potentially, they consider there's a Widow, maybe a Pharah looking to go over. Less likely to catch the Pharah, more likely the Widow or the Genji, though. But he's going to go through the window and completely circumvent it for now.
And they're not quite broken through the point yet. He does go into the trap eventually. 900 IQ plays from Spoxes there. Unfortunately, no one in position to capitalize on it. I don't think he communicated to the tanks that he was up there for them to maybe go and shut him down. But Mosaic eSports finally getting through the choke at the moment. Spoxes takes out Christopher immediately. Valataya onto Gustav. He's looking for a second support. He's got the support from Fisher. DPS duo starting to be in sync at the moment, and it's paying them results at the moment as Young and Beautiful struggling to keep up with the kills coming out from Mosaic. Dempsey, one of the last boys up in the front as Fisher gonna have to back off. He needs a little bit more support. The timer is ticking for Mosaic. They're taking out Danny as well. I think that Young and Beautiful might have to go ahead and concede point A.
Absolutely here, just back off. Don't make the same mistake that Mosaic made, but admittedly for Mosaic, like you say, we saw the sync-up coming through from the DPS duo, followed up as well by Denia. They just piled straight into that backline. Emil too was online and in the backline there, bringing down the supports. Once they were gone, there was so much pressure on Dempsey that he couldn't do what we're used to seeing him do, which is run through most of the enemy line. He was kind of stuck, dancing around, trying not to get picked off by Valataya, and once he'd gone down, the point was pretty much theirs for the taking.
They're going to play around this high ground at the moment. The two tanks are going to keep him off. Kodak take down Spoxes. Finally, he's showing the performance that Ding can on this Zenyatta. Going to take a quick nap there for Christopher. He's going to have a little lie down. There was actually Emil who slept as he dives in. Well, Danny, he's going to shut him down as well. Dragon Blade available for Fisher. I think he's waiting for the Transcendence to expire. There we go. Now, slashes down through Ben Best. Looking for another one. Can't quite find it. They're trapped in the space. He needs to find Spoxes here. This could be huge. They dash out. Doesn't have the blade, but Valataya will finish it off. You got to dash away. That self-destruct could be huge if you stay on the point. Mosaic, they've got the manpower, but there's more stall coming out from Young and Beautiful. The resurrections are coming out. There's the Transcendence from Ding. He's just going to soak up that self-destruct as Dempsey finds Fisher after getting a kill of his own. And Young and Beautiful, they've actually changed the tide of the game and they've got themselves back onto the point as Mosaic have been pushed back on their first offense.
This is the second time I've seen Danny do this today. His stall is brilliant. The number of times he's essentially holding down these points entirely on his own, enough for his team to reinforce and pull it back for them, is super, super impressive.
Valataya with that pulse bomb. It's going up against two ultimates of Young and Beautiful. Gustav with that nano boost. Spoxes with the Dragon Blade. You put them together, Des, what do you get?
Ouchie time.
Ouchie time for Mosaic. You couldn't have said it better. Going to be a real pain train as it comes in.
There's
the double combination. We're not seeing it at the moment, but that was 2 kills, 3 kills. The nano boosted Genji cutting down Mosaic eSports. It was so predictable with the ultimates, but I'm guessing Mosaic didn't see it coming.
I'm almost questioning just how much they need the Nano Blade there, because you could almost argue it was a slight overinvestment of ults. They had a great cleave for him to sweep through that corridor. We saw it, in fact, last week where we saw a Genji cleave through 4. Admittedly missed most of them, so he didn't get the ultimate available, but you could have arguably saved that Nano boost to come for something like Ben Best. However, they've cleared it out. No point dwelling on it too much. Good play from them, still holding the point down. They are now into the time or the stage of this game where Mosaic will have less in the timeout than Young and Beautiful if they lose this one out, if they win this one, I should say.
The longer this rolls out, the more entrenched they're going to get, but Mosaic, they're finding a way to dive in there and compete around the ditches and make sure they're forcing Young and Beautiful out of their fortifications, but they're fighting back, they're biting back. Ben Best onto Valataya, Christopher shuts down Spoxes. The self-destruct is going to give a nice respite from this tack visor damage coming out from Fisher on the back line. A little bit of displacement removes them from cover. No one's on the point. Resurrection can come out for Kodak, but they're not making any progress. There's the dive from Ben Best, but they're going to move onto the point itself, sticking the Transcendence. It's answered by Young and Beautiful as well. With that healing shut down, it's a perfect opportunity for Spoxes to go in and capitalize. Dashes through with the rest of Young and Beautiful, will shut down Mosaic yet again.
What did I just say about Danny? The stall on this point. The best thing was he made sure he was behind one of these lanterns when he went down, which meant the Soldier Ult couldn't catch him when he went into Mini Diva form. He could get back into his mech and keep on stalling for his team to respawn. Best thing is the team roll out together. They know that Danny can create this time for them, so they don't have to throw themselves in one by one and get picked off. They can take it easy and then push back in together, clear the point, and essentially we see a full reset time and time again.
1/3 on the point. They've got a self-destructor play around. They're about to get the Valkyrie back up, but the ult economy still in favor of Young and Beautiful. They're going to use that nano boost onto Winston. I believe he's going to start lightning them down. It's the energy surges through him and transcends into the enemy team. Pulse bomb from Valataya needs to jump on, but Kodak and Danny, they're getting the kills at the moment. Looking for the right window of opportunity. Self-destruct needs to force them into the house or out of the house. You cannot meander in a doorway when that bomb is active. And Denia going to bring Fisher back into the fight. It's stalled out again. It's slowed down a little bit as Gustav having to run away from Tracer. There's the tack visor, the bubble. Bought a lot of time there by blocking the vision as Spoxes goes down. Looking for Danny as well. He's burning through the armor and the HP as Fisher will demech him with the help of Emil and his supports. Now Christopher finds that exposed Diva. Emil yet again onto Ben Best. Valataya's still got the pulse bomb. Could use it to zone out. Here comes the Transcendence from Ding to get back onto the point and keep the stall game going. Buy time for Young and Beautiful to get back out onto the point, but no one's dealing with Fisher. He can sit comfortably back here with the damage boost as the self-destruct goes into the air and the kill feed still in control of Mosaic. Now, finally, he's being contested. Ben Best may go down here as well. Valataya, Emil, it's Ding and Dempsey the ones who are returning kills at the moment. Helix rocket to the face. It doesn't matter because Ding's not on the point. So Mosaic forced out another round.
With 2 minutes left on the clock, mind you, that is the big one and the thing that won in that final fight. Hate to keep on harping on, Danny died early on because Christopher realized that twice in a row that had happened, he jumped straight onto that Diva mech, made sure he went down before he could jump back into his mech. So good awareness there from Christopher, I think, to make sure they realized what was costing them the round previously and do manage to close it out. Real question is, how much difference does this 3 minutes make? We're going to see the attack, of course, coming through first from Mosaic. They've got to deliver here and try and go for a full cap onto the second point. We saw just how quick Young and Beautiful can do it. Mosaic got to be very, very wary of what they can do on their next attacking round.
Can Mosaic control the pace of this game, break the clock and bring it back in their favor? Like you said, there's 3 minute difference so far. It's not insurmountable. It doesn't secure the game. It's really on how long Mosaic can break through that time before Young and Beautiful break their defense.
Not long will likely be the answer, as we saw last time round. There's only so many times where you can say that we are really impressed with Young and Beautiful, but we are genuinely really impressed. They've turned up huge. And even, I think when you see a first map like Control, as we saw last week, you kind of think, oh, a bit of a fluke, you know, team's still warming up, give them a couple of maps. And we even said coming into second map, we might finally see Mosaic wake up. As it stands so far, Young and Beautiful are showing that consistency and flexibility that we keep on speaking about. They're the two key words I want to hold on to throughout the Contenders season. Consistency and flexibility will win the Contenders League.
Well, Mosaic going high at the moment with Emil, going to push through that gate when they find a window. As Valataya getting some sprays at the moment, finds Gustav. He's isolated. They need to pick on that. He's calling for reinforcements, and Ben Best and also Danny are going to jump in to help him. Still kept alive at the moment. Biotic Grenade was used to distribute the healing a little bit differently as Valataya picks him off, then goes for Ben Best as well. Mosaic have an edge in this offense as they demech as well. Christopher gets the kill onto Dempsey. Just boxes as the recall is hopefully going to bring everyone back into the fray. Ding has no other option, so incredibly fast pick from Mosaic eSports.
Much better for Valatire. And I was going to wait until after this round to comment on it, but it was so well done here that it's worth mentioning. Last time round, his tracking wasn't the best. A lot of the times when he was going for kills, he was missing a large number of the shots and wasn't getting those one-clip kills that we're used to seeing a lot of Trace being able to pull off in Contenders even. This time round, much better, getting much closer to his targets, making sure he can hit more of those down. That ultimately, alongside with the rest of his team, helps them clean up. Now let's see what they can do onto the second.
Well, I don't think they're going to be able to keep the momentum because they haven't got very many ults to play with. Fisher obviously switching onto that soldier, wants to hold that high ground again. It worked out well for them. Spoxes, he's got an ult of his own though. Dragon Blade slashing at the moment. Only finds Denier as he dashes across to help. Then he gets a meal and Fisher ramps it up towards the end, shuts them down. But Valatire in the meantime been answering with some kills of his own. Dempsey may win this duel out. There you go, Christopher Valatire. It's shut down. 1 minute on the clock for Mosaic.
It's so bizarre because coming into this week, had you said, who do you favour as the more favourable or better Tracer in this case, Dempsey or Valatire? You'd have said Valatire 9 times out of 10. Dempsey, again, is absolutely on fire this week. His play is just kind of making, I don't want to say making the DPS from Mosaic look weak, but definitely the kind of underperforming compared to what we're seeing from Young and Beautiful.
Well, Fisher going to take some shots. Spoxes going to get onto that high ground position, but while Spoxes is still there, it becomes increasingly difficult. They're still trying to brute force this top right section, but it's being held very well by Dempsey, Ben Best. That zoning from the Genji is actually doing wonders. It's stalled out their offense. Now Christopher forcing the Primal Rage, will jump in. Gonna go on to Gustav, he's got a support to himself. Discord Orb is there, Sleep Dart actually misses. This could be huge for Christopher if he shuts it down. Needs a couple more punches. Healing. Look at the haymakers coming out, but he's just dodging them around like Floyd Mayweather in the ring. Goomba Stomp coming out from Ben Best to shut down the rest of them. Here's the difference. Mosaic can't shut down the back line of Young and Beautiful, but they can definitely do it to them.
Christopher was 1 versus 3 there, admittedly, so he caused a good amount of distraction, but like you say, there was no counter shutdown coming through. Makes it very difficult. Here comes their final push.
Valatire weaving around the lantern. Emil has to come in. He's got some healing at the moment, but there's too many bodies. The Valkyrie going to be popped to keep the Mercy alive.
She's
the shutdown, the Biotic Grenade denies it all. Christopher jumps in by himself. Young and Beautiful surely going to shut this down. Overtime's going to flow. Self-destructive zone. Transcendence as well. Why not throw everything at it? Young and Beautiful shut down any further Mosaic attempts.
The best thing about that was they had 3 ultimates available as well for additional defense in case things did go a little bit sour. You heard Spox bring out the blade at the end. Ding had hit. They had the pulse bomb as well. Lots of tools available to them there to hold them back, so Mosaic would have always been in a spot of bother, I feel. But now they've got a much bigger spot of bother to deal with because Young and Beautiful have got 5 minutes to play with here. Last time around, it took them about 1.5 minutes to get the cap onto the first point, but the second one was incredibly quick.
Yeah, this is going to be a problem for them. 5 minutes, like you said, Des. They got to get 1 cap and a little bit of progress on point B. If they can roll the momentum like they did last time. Mind you, the momentum does rely on a little bit of an elongated first engagement. Make sure you build up those ults because it's really what is the driving force to keep that going as you go on to point B.
Let's not forget, Mosaic's mistake last time was committing 3 ultimates to go for a first point defense that was basically already lost. By the time they'd respawned and got up, they only had 2 ultimates available to play with. That's not really anything substantial. That nano boost that they used onto the Winston could have been much better used on the defensive side just to help the Winston clear them out when they all piled through the doorway together. Instead, committing it to the first point, a bit of a mistake, one I'm sure they've learned from. Now let's see if it actually translates to bringing this map to a draw.
Running that Ana Zenyatta combination again. Denier, Kodak, going to keep on that at the moment. Biotic Grenades have actually been, despite the siders in a lot of these engagements.
One thing I've just thought is that Mosaic actually have to full hold the first point here. If this goes to second and the map ends in a draw, it's done. They go 2 and 1. or 2-0 in that case. I mean, maybe go 2-1 with the fourth map, but they lose the series. They can settle for nothing less than perfection here.
Yeah, they have to win this map, otherwise the series is over for them. Spox is already taking a little bit of aggression. They've got through the gate already. Purple grenade coming down. Spox is healing shut down, but no one's going to capitalize on it because they're forcing Emil back, and Fisher only just got to that location to contest them. It's the rope-a-dope again. Switch the offense, switch the defense, going around the dojo to get onto that point, and Dempsey, he's prying around the side. You can hear it, you can see it. He may as well have thermal vision at this point, acting like Predator. Needs to get onto Denia. There's the one clip onto Denia. There's the second clip onto Kodak. Dempsey shut down all the healing from Mosaic, and they need to kind of push through here now and try and contest this with the window they've created. But Valataya answers onto Ben Best, shut down one of their tanks, gets the D-Mech, so they are answering the attack. We're kicking out the damage themselves, but Dempsey going to get a dink onto Fisher. Keep it very stagnated. Capture progress begins. Dempsey got on there at the moment. The rest of the team's reinforced. This should be a capture, but Valataya, if he dies here, this could be huge for them to carry forth that momentum. Pulse Bomb onto Ben Best. HP goes low, but Valataya, he's wasting so much time. He's in the spawn room at the moment, but he's actually bought time for Mosaic to reconvene on the point. I don't know if they've got enough bodies as Christopher takes down Danny. Danny onto Dempsey. There's the Dragon Blade to shut down the support, but he's trapped him in the room with the Transcendence and the healing. That's a great shutdown coming out from Kodak as Gustav gets the bop onto Emil. They're still on the point. Valataya, he's rejoined his team now. He's had the time, but the kills are still going over to Young and Beautiful as they're looking to shut him down.
Nice comeback in so far from Young and Beautiful. It was a bit worrying for a second when they started losing. Fisher is here with his ultimate, but achieves nothing. Ding once again picking up the kill and keeping his eye on that Genji.
Valataya, 22 HP, nearly got that pulse bomb. The point is so close to being capped as Ben Best swings a hammer to the head. They need to get a third on point B. So at this point, Mosaic can no longer win this series. They have to play for pride.
Pride is one thing I feel they're going to want to walk away with, because a 0-4 to Young and Beautiful is not something they want on their record. Let's see if they can make it happen.
Well, Fisher on that Junkrat at the moment, immediately shut down with that Earth Shadow, but forced back. We'll get the kill onto Fisher as Dempsey finds Denia. Valataya dancing around the point at the moment. Bodies everywhere. Christopher getting Ben Best. Spoxes going incredibly low. Can't get those dinks as he was in the recall at the moment, but Spoxes, Gustav, Danny. Spoxes cut down Valataya. Danny onto Fisher with the Doom Fist. They can't stall it out long enough. Young and Beautiful go 3-0.
It's getting to the stage now. I'm starting to feel a lot of sympathy for this Mosaic lineup. They've worked so hard in recent weeks, 3 new coaches on board, all the support in the world they could want, but the results are just not arriving on the board for them. There's got to be something they've got to talk about. I'm no expert coach and I can't sit here and tell them what I should do, but this is really worrying sign for these guys. And again, sympathies for them. Young and Beautiful though, got to hand it to them. Stepping up and showing us that last week was more of a bit of a fluke. Dempsey having one of those down days, because this week it's like a completely different player has arrived on the field.
Well, we got one more map for you. That's a given. Young and Beautiful looking to balance the books of their maps, wins to losses, and go for the 4-0. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll bring you that final map of Contenders Europe. Welcome back to Overwatch Contenders Europe. We've just seen Young and Beautiful go 3-0 against Mosaic, and now they've got one more map to balance the books, or we're going to see Mosaic finally come to life.
Very much so. I'm hoping we see the latter. We see them come to life and show us why it is they came in as such a highly contended team. But again, we spoke about them a lot today. Young and beautiful. Looking very young, very full of life, very full of vigor, because they are stepping up and showing everyone what it is they're all about. We had a lot of question marks about this team last week. Ben Best, only been on the team a week. Dempsey, where was he last week? Today, I would almost argue they are two of their top performers for this week. Of course, we're seeing Danny still perform, and the number of holds he brought out on the Diva has been fantastic. Now they've got to repeat it all over again on Dorado.
Going on to the escort map. It might be a change of pace. We're not going to have the capture points anymore. What's going to be run by Mosaic? I'm hoping they stick on their 2-2-2. Like we keep saying, they have the most success on it, but it's not quite enough for Young and Beautiful at the moment. Young and Beautiful, though, they just need to keep doing what they're doing. Let Dempsey run around the field. Shut them all down. Let Danny be that consistent tank for them. And also, we've been seeing Gustav get some kills of his own, repositioning on that Lucio, keeping everyone alive and speeding them up through those crucial choke points. And there's a lot of them on Dorado.
This is one big question mark I had about this map in particular, if it came down to it. Spoxes, amazing Widowmaker last week. In fact, probably the biggest shining light for his team in all of last week, I'd like to say. For Mosaic, who do they have that can contend with him in that level?
Not necessarily on the Widow, but we know that how competent they are at diving. They like the dives when they can get it set up. So they might be able to apply that pressure to Spoxes, but I don't think there's a direct answer in the form of a Widow duel.
And that is what worries me. We saw in the last map, at the last section, or the last series that we saw earlier on today, that was a big factor. The Widowmakers, whoever got the opening kill, was the one who led the fight between Naga and Flippy. Here, all it's going to take is Spox to get one opening kill, to try and stay as far away as he can, and they'll find themselves in a lot of trouble. Everyone loves an options menu.
Yeah, we'll gloss over that. We'll instead watch Diva stream some games from her mech. It's always obviously a bonus. Munching on some snacks, Doritos, Mountain Dew, you know how it is.
It's basically how we feel every time we get back from doing Contenders, right?
Yeah, and then go watch a few frag montages, mix it all up, blare some air horns, really put off the neighbors. I'm terrible to live with.
I can confirm.
Yeah, you live with me now at the moment. That's going to be interesting. But let's bring it back to the game. Final map of this series. Final map of the day. Young and Beautiful currently 3-0. They want to go 4-0. Mosaic really got to show up at the moment. So they're going to hold that high ground at the moment. The Spoxes looking for a pick on this Widow. Already getting some attention from Valataya. He's also got a Diva in front of him, so they just manhandle Tracer, lock her in a room, and gun her down. There's nothing she can do about it. Danny going to be the one getting the kill on that at the moment. Still at the back line, not being contested at the moment as they're diving back to help their team. Ding takes out Fisher. If the supports are taking out the DPS from distance, there's a massive problem at the moment. Look at this, Kodak going to get lightninged down by Ben Best. So Young and Beautiful may not be a team kill, but it's definitely a team wipe.
Ding and Ben Best, huge on that first point push. I mean, the fact that you've got a Widowmaker hunting a Tracer down to kill her, it's probably the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Admittedly, Danny was there in support as well, but I don't think I'd ever see a Widow chasing willingly after a Tracer.
No, you don't see a Widow chasing down with the auto rifle mode of her gun. You usually see it at range with the scope, maybe get a flick shot as you catch him at the end of a dash. Support ultimates coming online for Young and Beautiful. There's the Valkyrie being popped already. Ben Best goes high, he's going to come straight back down, use that Primal Rage and start knocking him out. Fisher with the tack visor, can't find an angle just yet. He's just being body blocked by the giant monkey in his face as Ben Best gets that leap kill onto Valataya, and that's going to be that checkpoint of the first stage being taken for Young and Beautiful.
Nice, clean, clinical. 5 minutes on the clock to push into the second. One of the easier points to go for. Again, need to see this mix-up from Mosaic coming through. Fisher with that ultimate. Good body block by Ben. Gotta say, had that ult online for pretty much the whole thing. Every single bullet was eaten by the monkey, and he didn't really care. He was just there to provide that cover for the rest of his team to ensure that push went as smoothly as they could. And
the aggressive positioning from Young and Beautiful. They have the earnest to go up to the face of Mosaic and shut down this high ground. If only they knew they didn't have all the support there for them, they might be willing to take the plunge and try and contest. But Fisher having a little bit of a duel. He's going to try the Widow duel against Spoxes, and we'll see how effective that is coming into this second stage.
I think Fisher played it a little bit last week, not to any huge impact, I don't think, but at least it's something to contest against Spox. He had a really good couple of duels against Naga, so I'm expecting to see something big coming out of him, but alas, the only big thing coming out of him is going to be his brain, as Fisher will take his head off.
About time we see something shut down Spoxes and Fisher. If he can keep this up, he might be the damn straight answer for it. You're going to look for Dempsey as he's dancing around on Tracer. Can he get the flick shot? Can he be more successful than Valentine is at shutting down Spoxes? He's going to get some attention at the moment. We have to bear in mind, Ben Best has been very proactive on the Winston. He could be the option to shut down, create some space at the moment. But here comes the engagement. They're sending a self-destruct into the air, I believe. No, it wasn't. It was the Valkyries being popped. And they're going to have the Transcendence as well. So both support elements being used by Young and Beautiful. They've still got a Trans in their pocket for Mosaic, but no one's gone down because of that. Christopher finds Ben Best. Again, Spoxes having some attention from Valentine. Fisher takes Gustav out of the sky, and Spoxes answers with a pick of his own. The payload rounds the corner at the moment as Spoxes popped off again onto Christopher. Danny finds Valentine. They're fighting outside of the vault as Emil's going to lose his mech. Kodak goes on to Spoxes. I'm hoping that was a long-range snipe with the Orbs of Destruction. I love a bit of Zenyatta play, and hopefully that was exactly what happened as Emil will finally go down to Danny's rocket boosters. But still, the story is Young and Beautiful uncontested in their payload movement.
Ben Best loves his crouching. Every single time you see him, he's crouching somewhere around the corner, just waiting to leap in, quite literally. Let's see if they can force the way into the second point nice and quick though and get themselves a healthy time back moving forward. Here comes the contest from Mosaic.
Kodak opening up with a Transcendence. He's dived all the way behind. He's gone straight to the back to help out the supports. They've left the payload uncontested at the moment because they really wanted to get onto Spoxes. Difficult decision because Spoxes wasn't even there. He's up in the high ground, and Ding and Dempsey take out the rest of Mosaic.
Yeah, Spox basically getting a bit of a, just say, practice aim there. They're a training range to get himself back up to speed. Now, Fisher switching off to the Genji. Good pick here as well for this final point. It would be good, of course, if you weren't getting dropped by Spoxes every single time you walked out of spawn.
Yeah, he's going to force out the resurrection from Denier, going up nice and high, maybe getting an angle to drop down that shot. Spox is going to get the info sight yet again. Going to fire up into the air. Here's the dive coming out. Christopher about to get some reinforcements from his team, while Dempsey, he's left the back line exposed. He's got the pulse bomb. Not going to be able to follow up just yet. Christopher running low. That Primal Rage is about to expire. Can they capitalize on the fact it's gone self-destruct going over the back? It's going to force them all forward. Oh, Emil finds Spoxes on the back line as Dempsey gets Kodak. Ding answers with Valentine. Ben Best going very low, has to dive back. The resurrection coming out to Spoxes. Kodak's back into the fold as well. Orb of Harmony sitting on Ding. Dempsey finding Christopher. They're still fighting around this point at the moment. Self-destruct gone into the air. It's landed back on the floor. No one's to be found at the moment as Ding takes out a support again. He's on fire with these kills.
All about those dings to the head in his case, but again, it's Dempsey in the backline causing real havoc for these supports. Here they come. Ben Best powering his way through.
He's going to start pummeling Zenyatta. He's got the Transcendence, so he'll be able to take all the damage. Valentine finding a mech. Finding a Ding, that's 2 robots in a row as Dempsey answers back onto Kodak, and Ben Best and Christopher going to have a lightning war. Danny's skewing it a little bit in the favor. Christopher gets the kill, leaps out, realizes that unfair advantage. He doesn't want to be a part of that fight.
Nice deflect from Fisher as well to keep himself alive. Still looking for him to make a big impact. 5% until that ultimate comes online, or just about. Once he's got that, that's when you might see a bit of a full clear come through in Mosaic. Can take a breather for a second and reset because this payload is very close to completion.
But he's got the pulse bomb trying to find Valentine. It's Dempsey on the front of the payload as the self-destruct goes into the air. Spoxes finds a meal while he's out of the mech. Transcendence there to keep everyone healthy as Fisher with the deflect. Needs some healing before he goes in with that Dragon Blade. Needs to find the right opportunity to use it. But Dempsey, he's got a pulse bomb. He's going to try and do it himself. Christopher's pummeling some people around. He's going into the room. Christopher's lined them all up in this room for him to cut through.
Good.
Only finds Dempsey. Spoxes shuts him down before the bubble comes into play. And they're still trading picks. No one's getting a clear advantage in these fights.
It's good for Mosaic there. They only lose Fisher, but they managed to drop at least 3 members of the other side. So again, that breathing room has been given to them. They've got a few seconds just to reset and go, right, guys, let's just settle down. The panic is over. What do we do to reset this one? The nice one there was with Fisher's attention being put onto the supports. Valentine was free to get the flank off and pull him from the other side. There's a reason we call them flanking DPS, because they can get to the side uncontested and deal damage where it counts. That the problem is that's the first time we've really seen that happen. For Young and Beautiful, that's happening frequently between Ben Best, Spoxes, and Dempsey.
Mosaic want to hold this high ground. They're going to dive straight into it. Transcendence popped immediately to shut down all the offense. Valkyrie on the other side is going to keep everyone nice and healthy. And Emil shuts down the mech. Danny finds Denier. Christopher jumps onto the D-Mech Diva, takes her out as Kodak and Ding. They're trading blows, but eventually Ding comes out on top. And Valentine going to recall at the moment. 41 HP, needs a health pack, needs some healing, might go back to the spawn room. The fight continues on the payload as Spoxes dashes to safety. Mosaic eSports still holding on to this point.
Feels like they're going to get the full hold coming through here because Young and Beautiful just not able to crack this final defensive setup coming through from Mosaic. Gotta say, Kodak's Transcendence is every single time in the big one for me because he's popped them out twice now and denied all the engage coming through from Young and Beautiful.
There's running out of gas in the tank. They've used that nitrous too much, pushed the turbo to its limit, and now they're running on empty. In the next gas station, it's 500 meters down the yard. They're going to have to push it the rest of the way. But do they have the manpower to do it, or will they run out of stamina as well?
This is their only time now because there is no Transcendence for Kodak. They've got the sound barrier, but that's not going to be as impactful as what the Transcendence would be. Let's see if they can force this now.
Well, sound barrier, it's come out to keep everyone alive. So there's a lot of lightning damage. Kodak finds Spoxes, and Ben Best dives back into the fray. Still have to get through these shields. They've now expired. Here's Christopher. He's going toe-to-toe with the monkey, pushing him down. Fisher finds two with the Dragon Blade. As Ben Best trying to answer, finds Kodak, overloads his circuits as the self-destruct going to keep him away from the payload. Pulse Bomb goes down. Christopher dives to safety, but Fisher finds Dempsey on the back line. And now Ben Best with 26 HP needs to stay in the bubble until he gets some healing. Emil could just turn around and bop him. He's going to use the ult instead. There's the primal wave. He's going to push them all back. Won't push him into the explosives. Valataya finds Spoxes. He did manage to de-mech Danny. So now you've got an exposed Diva in the overtime. It's not what you want. Valataya, he's going to sweep through that, clean it up nicely. Christopher takes out Gustav. Kodak also finding Ben Best again. And Fisher, who switched over to that Reaper, takes out Ding.
Really, really good delay coming out of Ben Best at the end there, holding himself on the point for a good 25 to 30 seconds. But by the time his team had arrived to try and fight that one back, they were already being picked off by those members. And Reaper, a good last second pick to bring down these big tanks who are just throwing themselves at the point. Worst comes to worst, you have that free ultimate to bring off not long after. However, now it's time to see how things work out the other way. Young and Beautiful, very, very close towards the end, but not reaching full completion. Mosaic can wrestle this one back. They've got to do it convincingly. Yeah, they're
going to have to pretty much full cap this one, Des, with the distance that was traveled. You can see it there. It's right at the edge of the completion zone. So we're expecting a full cap to come out for Mosaic eSports, and it's still a lot of question marks about them. Typically, their defense has been stronger than their offense when it comes to these maps, and now they're going to have to play against it and go for a full cap on Dorado against Young and Beautiful. Really is last chance saloon for this team.
Very much so. Again, it's only really fighting for pride here as well. 3-0, series is done. The point goes over to Young and Beautiful. But again, it's that spark that you want to see in the team now.
Yes.
You want to see that real grit, because there will be times in future where every single team is down, they feel like they're out. You've really got to pick yourself up and just remind yourself why you're in Contenders in the first place. All of these players, you can't contest. None of them do not deserve to be here. I can't think of a player, like Dempsey was my player of the last week, who I really kind of was concerned that he was far below the level required. Everyone else last week for me stepped up and delivered in some way. This week, Dempsey has stepped up, so I can't think of a single player in all the Contenders who I would look at and go, you don't belong here, or you need to improve if you're going to be able to stack up against these teams. Everyone has got the potential to take games away from everyone. What did I say to you at the start of today? If Young and Beautiful beat Mosaic, I'm pretty sure every single team, by some weird cyclical manner, would have beaten another team, which spreads the group completely wide open. A very different story in Group A. Group B looks a bit crazy.
Craziness seems to be the name of the game for some of these unsigned teams, and the chaos reigns supreme against the regimented society of Mosaic eSports, these other talented and trained orgs. But now Mosaic, they're going to run that 2-2-2 composition yet again. Fisher going head-to-head with Spoxes straight away on the Widowmaker. Young and Beautiful playing very far back into the market, so they don't want to contest this forward position that we see some teams opt to do.
Yeah, the full hold is very, very good if you're not too afraid about getting back in time to be able to hold it out. You can basically just sit right in front of the spawn gates, hold the roof above them as we saw in the last series, and go for that. However, picks are already starting to fly through.
Yeah, so he's already see the battle of these mirror picks coming in favor of Mosaic. Of course, the resurrection coming out from Gustav to bring Spoxes back into the fray. No real conflict so far, and they've let it get to Statue. When are Young and Beautiful going to pop out and try and contest this? Because I feel like they're relying too heavily on Spoxes to get a pick when he's not finding them at the moment.
That was the problem we saw earlier on for the Flames with Nagi. We were relying on him to be the real opening aggression, but Christopher has found Spoxes. That is a big one for them. Now that he's off the cards, things may change. He, of course, brought down Fisher before he disappeared.
Absolutely, and Valataya, he's whittling around at the moment, finds that robot, shuts down the mech as well with the help of Kodak and Mercy. He's going to try and keep Diva alive, but they're just delaying the inevitable at this point. Mosaic eSports, they keep rolling, and they're doing it in good time.
Very, very good time so far. 5 minutes, not unlike Young and Beautiful on their attack, mind you. Everything seems to be mirroring itself today between these two teams. One does one thing, the other copies it just a couple of minutes later, and we find ourselves in the same position. The real difference comes in the finishing, and that's what I'm looking forward to seeing, is whether they can push this right to the very end.
Speaking of finishing, Denia has just ended his life. Unfortunately, Spoxes was the one who took that head clean off, as Daddy finds Fisher as well. So it's going to force Mosaic back. They still have to escort this payload, so they're not exactly going back on their progress. They're just realigning themselves and not playing so far forward.
Good plan. Christopher has actually got Spox's number big time here. He's constantly in this backline giving him some grief. This time around doesn't work out too well for him. He's forced to pop the ultimate. Not the most favourable spot to do so.
It was an interesting time as well. He was waiting for the team to come back. He would have needed to retreat off there, maybe coordinate a little bit better. Dempsey with the pulse bomb onto Denia. Transcendence is being traded at the moment around the corner. Christopher not got anyone to focus at the moment. He has got Valatai with him on the back line, but the rest of Young and Beautiful has folded into Mosaic, and now the reinforcements are coming from their original position as Ding finds a couple of kills himself. Valatai still sitting on his pulse bomb, and Dempsey charges right up into his face, gives him a pistol whip to the back of the head, and says, "See you later, sunshine."
Dempsey again just winning out this battle of the Tracer, and it does feel like the DPS favor. Like, admittedly on the Widowmaker, it's slightly between Spoxes and Fisher. You can't really pull the two of them apart. But definitely the difference is in the Tracers today. Dempsey really having the showing of his life. And tank-wise, between both teams, again, Emil has been a bit more quiet for me than what we'd expect from Danny. But maybe it's because, again, being coined as a prodigy, he is the player who we're giving a bit of a keeping a close eye on, you might say.
Is it unfair overhyping to put pressure on him and set the expectation maybe incorrectly? Because there's been nothing wrong with Danny's play. But I feel like we may have hyped him up as to be a prodigy when really he's serviceable and he's what his team needs. Anyway, there's Christopher and Kodak with 2 kills of their own. Self-destruct being used on top of the chat. Spokes finds Kodak, takes him down, deflect from Fisher, negates that, and Denia, he goes in for the Kodak resurrection while that was distraction was happening, the deceit happening from Fisher. Still going to contest over this bridge at the moment. Both of those bubbles being used, keeping the team shielded, protected. Mosaic eSports finally getting some traction on this point. We're bringing it round to that final stage as the Valkyries are popped out from both of the Mercies at the moment. Fisher getting so close to that blade. Valatai takes out Spox's pulse bomb. Thrown out. Here comes the monkey to shut down the Winston, but Valatai again shuts down Ben Best. They cut through Gustav and cancel the resurrection as well, but it's only Danny on the point. But Mosaic, they've got so many players to deal with him. Push him back. They should be able to take this to the final stage of the map.
Much, much better from Mosaic, and you were speaking earlier about you being able to cook a chili with the pressure. That was definitely cooking, and it was really, really good, purely because what they were doing was forcing that high ground. Young and Beautiful had some great spots, but one thing you must have noticed is that Spoxes had no room to get shots off. He had Valatai from the back, he had Fisher looking at him from the front, and the tanks were piling in as well. They just could not set up the way they wanted to. Mosaic forced Young and Beautiful to fight the fight on Mosaic's terms, and that's why they won.
They've got 3 minutes, Des. 3 people on the payload. They've only got to get it around the S-bend. They've got a Dragon Blade. They've got a Transcendence. They've got everything to come up with Mosaic. Here we go. Going to start using the monkey. Ding gets the kill onto Christopher with the help of his team. Pops the Transcendence immediately. Brings him back into the fight. There's a self-destruct gone into the air to clear him out. Buys some space for Fisher with the Dragon Blade. But Ben Best shuts him down. Valatai, he's a little bit more successful with his ult as he finds Ding. And now they're diving around any angle they can. Valatai again onto Danny, as the Transcendence is popped to keep him alive. No one's on the payload because they're busy fighting this monkey at the moment. Ben Best on the Winston, still punching him around. He will go down eventually to Christopher as Dempsey can't find that entry point to make himself known, as Christopher takes down Spox as well. And now he's leading the charge in the front. Changed it from defensive to offensive as he finds Gustav, and he keeps rolling this position forward. He's buying time and entering the tracks for Mosaic to just slot it through them nice and steady. Self-destruct going to be used to keep him all away from the point for now. Buy some breathing room for Young and Beautiful. Pulse bomb did find Ding. Fisher onto Dempsey. They're getting all the picks they need. Emil onto Ben Best. Spoxes goes high, comes down. Here's the Dragon Blade. Tries to get Denia. He dashes away successfully. He might get lightning down before he can find it. Self-destruct takes out the second support as well, as Danny will whittle down Mosaic eSports. They're about to get captured, but Dempsey jumps in last second. Can't find the second stall. At least Mosaic can walk home with the wooden spoon.
Absolutely, and I've got to say, really, really good from their tanks on that third and final point as well. Both Emil and Christopher coming up big. Emil, the final push there, the 4 final kills. Christopher was the big MVP for me there, because second point as well, his aggression, jumping into the back line, dealing with the supports, that was the big definer. And I'm just, again, we always said this, I think we said this in map 1.
Yep.
Why didn't we see this earlier?
Yes.
We said to ourselves, in map 4, we might be saying this, we're saying it right now. They've started to pull the pieces together. We've got to see that come at the start of next week rather than towards the end of the series.
You're exactly right, Des. They can't be throwing away maps earlier when they know they can perform like this and contend. And beforehand, if this was coming in blind to the Young and Beautiful match, I'd be saying to you that they should definitely take a map off the Young and Beautiful. I'm not going to be saying that in the future, because Young and Beautiful, they showed us what they are made of at the moment, and it's fantastic. I want to see these guys stay on this form. I don't think it was Mosaic eSports playing bad. I think it was Young and Beautiful exceeding their limits, and hopefully they can find a way to maintain there.
Absolutely. And to be honest with you, they were the one team I looked at in this list and had a question mark over as to how they would deliver. They've stepped up, which means that bottom bar, the floor for all of Contenders, is now up here. So many of these teams are so close, and I cannot wait to see what comes tomorrow.
That's week 2 done for Group B. We'll have Group A tomorrow, but there's someone else who will tell you more about that on the analyst desk.